Tetsuo the Iron Man is one of the strangest films that I have ever seen. However, it definitely does have quite a bit lying underneath the pretty grotesque exterior that it shows. The film, if you don't know, is a classic piece of cyberpunk Japanese culture and overall had a big impact over there as well as on cult audiences abroad. But what does all of the imagery that is in this movie actually mean? I mean, it's pretty fucking psychotic, so could there really be a message underlying? The answer is, of course, yes, and that's what we're going to be doing today, going into the meaning behind Tetsuo's The Iron Man. Basically, this film has a metal fetishist who is driven mad by maggots in his skin and immediately flees because of how horrified he is and then gets hit by a car. From there, what is called here a salaryman is tormented by visions of metal and industrial machinery, and overall, it kind of all goes down from there. He starts putting metal into his own skin, as well as finding his own horrific wife that he can, partake in such metal fetishism with. Basically, the man sits down at a train station, and the woman nearby gets overtaken by this mound of flesh, and then she becomes his dastardly wife. From here, what we have is the man goes back to his hideout with his now girlfriend, and they proceed to have sex. There's a lot of weird phallic shit that happens around this period, as well as some weird visuals regarding the various machinery around and the way that these two interact. There's definitely some strange tension between the two. There was also a weird part where he was like dreaming and dreamed of being sodomized by this woman in his dream with this like metal tube. It was a really intense part, and really to me felt like it had something to say about masculinity and how people have this weird fear and repression because of their own perceived masculinity and heterosexuality. From here, what we have is where it gets even stranger somehow. Basically, after he gets sodomized in his dream, wakes up, his girlfriend then, is eating suggestively, and some weird shit goes on there. And from there, the man's penis turns into a literal physical metal drill. From there, there's kind of a little bit of a struggle between the woman and the man because she wants to have sex, and she ends up sitting on the drill, causing blood to splatter behind her and seemingly for the woman to be severely injured. And this is definitely where things are also a bit more heady. Overall, the metal fetishist from the very beginning who got hit by a car kind of comes back into frame and is laughing maniacally, kind of suggesting that he has passed on this metal fetishism to this other guy who now has the dead girlfriend because of, well, the drill. And essentially, from here, I guess it can be kind of confusing as to what's happening, unless you have either read the Wikipedia page or watched this multiple times. But essentially, what it's kind of shown is that the man who is the salary man and had the girlfriend that kind of went down into the depths of depravity, they were the ones that hit the fetishist initially. And then after the realization of this, first of all, after they hit the man, they went up and had sex next to a tree. So that's some fucked up shit. However, from there, it seems like the fetishist is kind of haunting the man in various ways. However, from there, basically, the fetishist and the official Iron Man now ends up having a fight. Now, the Iron Man is told that his the transfer over into being the Iron Man was just simply completed, and from there the fetishist was ready to have his duel. Basically, the men go on to fight repeatedly until they become a giant mass of metal. This was after they kind of had a overpowering duel of electricity and metal, and it kind of ends with them becoming this one phallic piece of metal, or mesh of metal rather. And so overall, on a very straightforward level, earlier on we also see that like the Iron Man person was beat over the head with a rod, a metal rod, etc. And so overall, on a straightforward level, basically what it seems is that a man and woman hit a metal fetishist with their car and become, well, overstrucken with the various like images that drive them to insanity that maybe that metal fetishist was also seeing. And then this depths of depravity led to the death of his girlfriend, as well as this kind of masculine ego battle that ends with basically both of the men as giant metal dicks. And I think that's a pretty interesting part, especially because it does say a lot about masculinity and sexuality and what it means to be a man, and how, you know, things that men talk about with each other, first of all, with sex, can lead on to even worse things further down the line. For example, like people will talk about their fetishes with other people that have the same fetish, and then that can lead to more extreme ways to do things. Yeah, like in World's Greatest Dad, where the kid is fucking autoerotic asphyxiating himself. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that was, anyway, so yeah, bad things can happen when people are left to their own devices with other people with similar fetishes, and it can get more and more extreme as time goes on. But also the other thing that I think is important here is it does say a lot about how men will repress their sexual urges, and overall things that happen to them when they were children that they never actually work through can lead to these terrible fetishes. And honestly, that's, I think, a big thing in Japan, particularly because you see a lot of things like groping and these various terrible things that happen in Japan, because there is this very weird sexual culture where you're not really meant to come talk about things. So the only people that are going to talk to you about it are the extreme fetishists. And then outside of that, people are left to their own devices, their own individual wills, and then put that out into whatever kind of weird sexual urges arise. And then from there, if you don't have a society that is like telling men that, hey, like, you need to look at this thing as a positive or a negative, or you should be engaging in these types of fetishes and not, it can lead to these sexual urges overcoming somebody and turning them into a literal monster. The one thing that I think is said here, or kind of shown here, is the girlfriend seems to be this piece of the puzzle that is almost pushing him towards that sexual urge, and shown as like a femme fatale in a way, somebody that is pushing him to a depraved spot that he shouldn't be in. Now, that feels very weird to me because overall, like, women are not tempting men everywhere. This is not the case. And on top of that, even if you are somebody who, every single day, and even if you are somebody who's being tempted, you should be able to have control over yourself in order to not go and partake in these various urges. And it's not the woman in your life that is causing you to become a monster. Overall, that is kind of the more straightforward read of it, as well as then the more heady idea of it, of how these sexual urges and repressed ideas can be passed on to other people, or in various ways can lead people down severe, depraved paths that can end in somebody becoming a total monster, or dying of autoerotic asphyxiation. Exactly. So, what do you guys think? Have you seen Tetsuo's The Iron Man? I'm sorry if I fumbled this read here a little bit. It is a really weird, heady movie. I read the Wikipedia as well as pulled from knowledge for this. So let me know. Have you guys seen the film? What do you guys think it's about? And do you disagree with me on any of my takes? Let me know in the comments down below. And besides that, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That'll pop up during the outro. We have a gaming sessions channel where we post gaming essays. You can check that out in the description as well. And all of our other socials are in the description too. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining me during this smoking session.
I spaced out of my head to the depths of the universe. It's a spell or a chance just to open up a newer curse. If I swim too far, then my head goes under. If we take it as it is, then there ain't no wonder. It's hard to imagine that